Hello everyone, let's talk about angles. Now traditionally there are two ways where people used to measure angles. There is degrees. So let's say this is roughly 45 degrees. Or they use radians. Today we're going to talk about the difference between these two and why in a lot of calculations this number will be used much more often. Let's start with degrees. So degrees is a measurement of angle starting at 0 degrees going all the way around to 360. Simple linear scale, so a flat line would be 180. A right angle on the outside would be 270. And of course, we see the 360 from earlier. But radians is a little more interesting. See, radians is defined in the relationship between a circle's radius and its circumference. I believe we're all familiar with the formula circumference of a circle equals 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius of the circle. As such, one full rotation, so 360 degrees, is equal to an angle of 2 pi radians. So this is still 0, but now our previous 45 degree angle is equal to pi over 4, because you're carving out 1/8 of a circle. And as such, your right angle is now pi over 2, your 180 degree angle is pi 3 pi over 4, and of course, all the way around 2 pi. Though sometimes you may hear, instead of radians, people will use tau. Now, tau is basically radians, it's just tau itself is equal to 2 pi. So instead of saying one full rotation equals 2 pi, you would say one full rotation equals 1 tau. Though in general usage, the radians will be a lot more common. Now, part of why, especially in a lot of scientific uses, radians is a lot more common is because it is an actual relationship between a measured r and a measurable c. For example, let's say you had a circle and you carved out a small angle out of that circle. Just for the sake of convenience, let's say this is 45 degrees. How long is this section here? How long is this section? In degrees, you would have to start dividing out and then calculating the total circumference of the circle and then dividing it by the section of the angle. For example, let's say the radius is 1. So you would have a radius of 2 pi multiplied by 45 over 360. Obviously not super easy. Well, not super convenient. (45 over 180, 1/4), right? So you have pi over 4. Now, So you have pi over 4. But if we would have measured this in radians, well, you would know immediately that this angle is pi over 4. And no matter what radius it is, you can just multiply it by your angle. Let's say this is theta. You can just r times theta equals the arc length. So because radians is much more of a physical relationship and much more defined and useful in more complicated calculations and require less conversions, it is a lot more commonly used in scientific applications.